The lost Confederate gold, the treasure that vanished after the Civil War. In April of 1865, the Confederacy was dying. Richmond had fallen. Robert E. Lee had surrendered, and the government that had fought the United States for 4 years was no longer ruling from a capital, it was running. But as Confederate President Jefferson Davis fled south with members of his government, one question began to follow him. Not just where was he going, not just how long could he escape, but what was he carrying with him? Because in the final days of the Civil War, rumors spread that the Confederate government was moving gold, silver, and valuables through the South. Some believed it was the last treasure of a collapsing nation. Others believed it was money meant to fund a new rebellion. And some believed it was stolen before Union soldiers could ever find it. Over time, those rumors became one of the strangest mysteries in American history. The legend of the lost Confederate gold. The story begins in Richmond, Virginia. For most of the war, Richmond had been the heart of the Confederacy. But by April 1865, Union forces were closing in. The city was no longer safe. The war was nearly over, and the Confederate government was out of time. Jefferson Davis and members of his cabinet left Richmond by train, carrying what remained of the government's records, supplies, and treasury. But by then, Confederate paper money was nearly worthless. The South had printed money for years, but as the war turned against it, that paper lost its value. A printed bill could promise wealth, but in the final days of the Confederacy, promises meant almost nothing. What mattered was hard money: gold, silver, coins, bullion, things that could still buy food, weapons, transportation, or loyalty. That is why the treasury mattered. It was not just treasure, it was survival. As Davis and his party moved south, the gold became both an asset and a danger. If they kept it, it could help them escape. If they lost it, the final hope of the Confederate government disappeared with it. And if Union troops captured it, the last wealth of the Confederacy would be gone forever. This is where the story becomes difficult to separate from legend. Reports and rumors claim that Davis was fleeing with millions in gold. Union officials took the possibility seriously enough that orders were given to intercept Confederate leaders and any wealth traveling with them. But the real amount may have been far smaller than the rumors suggested. By the end of the war, the Confederacy was exhausted. Its armies were starving. Its economy was broken. Its paper currency was collapsing. The idea of millions in hidden gold made for a powerful story, but the actual treasury may have been much less dramatic. Still, whatever remained was valuable enough to matter. The escape route moved through Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and into Georgia. Along the way, parts of the treasury were reportedly divided up. Some money may have been used to pay soldiers, some may have been handed to officials, some may have been deposited for safekeeping. Some may have simply disappeared into the hands of men who knew the Confederacy was finished. And that is the problem. When a government collapses, records break down. Orders become unclear. People act in fear. Men who were once officials become fugitives. Soldiers become desperate. Guards become looters. And money that once belonged to a government can vanish one bag at a time. There may never have been one single moment where the Confederate gold disappeared. It may have vanished piece by piece, but the legend grew because of what happened next. By May 1865, Jefferson Davis was no longer leading a functioning government. He was a fugitive, moving through Georgia with Union cavalry closing in. On May 10th, near Irwinville, Georgia, Union soldiers found his camp. Davis was captured. The leader of the Confederacy was in Union hands. But the great treasure was not. No massive fortune was recovered with him. No wagon train of gold was found. No secret reserve was seized at his camp. And that raised the question that kept the legend alive. If the gold was not with Davis, where did it go? Some believed Confederate officials had taken it for themselves. Others believed it had been hidden along the escape route. Some claimed that treasure was buried in Georgia. Others believed the money had been scattered through banks, soldiers, escorts, and loyal supporters. The story became bigger with every retelling. Wagons became treasure trains. Small payments became secret fortunes. Lost records became proof of conspiracy. And in the years after the war, treasure hunters began searching for what they believed had been left behind. They searched old roads, they searched riverbanks, they searched farms, forests, and abandoned properties. Anywhere a desperate group of fleeing officials might have buried a chest before Union cavalry arrived. But the truth may be more frustrating than the legend. The lost Confederate gold may not be one hidden treasure waiting under the ground. It may be the remains of a collapsing system. A government built on secession and slavery, falling apart so quickly that even its final wealth could not be tracked. Some of the money may have been spent. Some may have been paid out. Some may have been stolen. Some may have been hidden. And some of it may have never existed in the amounts people imagined. But that is what makes the story so powerful, because the mystery is not only about gold, it is about the final days of a government that knew it had lost. It is about men trying to escape history with whatever they could carry. It is about rumors born in panic, repeated through generations, and turned into a treasure hunt. By the time Davis was captured, the Confederacy was finished. Its armies were surrendering, its leaders were scattered, its money was worthless, and whatever gold had left Richmond was already gone from the official record. Maybe it was buried. Maybe it was stolen. Maybe it was divided up and spent long before anyone could find it. Or maybe the real treasure was never as large as the legend claimed. Today, more than 150 years later, the story still survives. Not because we know where the gold went, but because we do not. Somewhere between Richmond, the Carolinas, Georgia, and the final capture of Jefferson Davis, the trail went cold. And in the final days of the Civil War, as a defeated government ran south through the dark, something valuable disappeared with it. The question is, was it lost? Was it stolen? Or was the greatest Confederate treasure legend built from panic, rumor, and a few missing bags of gold?